Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk is live and direct on a Monday. We are back from the weekend. We are back from our state tournament week hiatus. And boy, we missed a lot. So we've got a lot to get to these next 3 hours here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com. And in living color on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. However, wherever, whenever you're tuning in, thanks so much for being a part of the audience here on 580 Sports Talk. I think that's how I introduced the show. My name's Dan Lucero. Boy, it feels like it's been a long time. Great to talk to y'all again in this format. I did a lot of talking to you over the last 4 days, 4 broadcast days for us, during our 59th year of state tournament basketball coverage. But now we're back in the saddle on 580 Sports Talk. Spencer Dupuy will be along in a little bit. Brendan Dworzinski is off today. We missed a lot in those 4 days. We got a lot to catch up on. We got a lot of Chiefs news, including a move today. The Chiefs have acquired their Patrick Mahomes understudy for 2026 and maybe his stand-in for the first however many weeks of the season. Problem is he's not very good at playing quarterback. Justin Fields is the Kansas City Chief. We'll talk about that move, how the Chiefs acquired him, and why they would acquire Justin Fields, of all players. We'll also take a look at some of the other moves that they have made while we were on our state tournament hiatus. And our NFL insider, Matt Verderame, will jump on with us at the bottom of this 3 o'clock hour. We'll get his thoughts on the Chiefs offseason to date and the rest of the NFL transactions from the last week or so. It was also a big day in Manhattan today as the new head men's basketball coach at Kansas State, Casey Alexander, was introduced. That all went down while we were on hiatus. I've got some thoughts on the hire. It's a thumbs up from me. I don't think they could have done a lot better, to be completely honest with you. Given their circumstances, I think Casey Alexander's as close to a home run hire as they could have made. But judging by the reaction, it remains true about a certain segment of Kansas State fans that the only thing that matters about a Kansas State men's basketball coach is, are you or are you not Brad Underwood? And that's just unfortunate. And those people need to get a grip. But Casey Alexander was introduced today in Manhattan. We'll play a couple of clips from his introductory press conference. And Tim Fitzgerald of GoPowerCat.com will jump on with us today. There's a special treat for your Monday. Usually Fitz joins us on Wednesday for the Wildcat Wrap-Up, but he'll be on today. He was at the press conference. We're going to get his thoughts on Kansas State's hiring of Casey Alexander, formerly the head coach at Belmont, also previously at Lipscomb and Stetson. So most of his career in the southeastern United States. Now he comes to the Midwest to be the next head coach of the Cats. And we'll get Tim Fitzgerald's perspective on that coming up at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. We'll also talk some NCAA tournament. The bracket is out. It's not an easy draw for the Kansas Jayhawks now, is it? They went out pretty sad in the Big 12 Conference semifinals, took it on the chin from the Houston Cougars. They are a number 4 seed headed to San Diego. They play Cal Baptist late Friday night. It's Friday night. You're not doing anything Saturday morning. Don't complain about an 8:45 tip-off time, 8:45 Central. You got all Saturday morning to sleep in and recover. KU gets beyond Cal Baptist. A very likely date with St. John's, and if it's not them, it's a second-round matchup with Northern Iowa. God, that tune sounds familiar. And if they can get through the opening weekend and onto the Sweet 16, their most likely Sweet 16 opponent, the number 1 overall seed in the tournament, the Duke Blue Devils, who has already beaten KU this year. Of course, KU didn't have Darren Peterson for that game. So we'll take a look at the bracket, not just KU's draw, but all the rest of the draw for the field of 68. And, of course, we are going to have NCAA tournament coverage all week long right here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9. And from Westwood 1, the broadcast home of the NCAA tournament, starting with first 4 coverage the next 2 nights. We'll join coverage in progress on Thursday and Friday. We'll have day-long coverage coming your way Saturday and Sunday of second round games right here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. So there's all that to get to, plus 580 Sports Talk headlines. We'll continue our Royals countdown to opening day. We've got a new week of What Is Wrong With You. We got our good, bad, ugly from the weekend that was. That's all still to come on the program. Plus some local basketball talk. We'll recap state week. Congratulations to the teams in our broadcast area who brought home state championship gold. The Hayden Wildcat girls, the Silver Lake girls, state champions. Both of those out at Hutchinson. You heard both of those games live with me on Saturday here on 580 WIBW. What a privilege it was to have been courtside to see the coronations for both the Wildcats and the Eagles. Hope you all enjoyed our 59th year of state tournament basketball coverage here on the Sports Voice of Kansas. We'll also recap a heartbreaker of the weekend for the Washburn-Ichabod basketball team. The women and the men both lose in round one of the Central Region Tournament. The women falling out in Mankato, Minnesota to Central Missouri. The men upset by the number 8 seed in the Central Region, Minnesota Duluth. We'll get into that a little bit in the 5 o'clock hour as well. We eagerly anticipate your interaction with the show today. Let us know that you missed us by hitting us up on the text line. 785-272-9429 is the number. 785-272-9429. You can also interact in the live chat on our YouTube stream. Yes, we're back streaming live on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Every time we're live here on the air, on the radio, we are live on the video on our YouTube channel. And while the YouTube stream is live, so is the live chat. So avail yourself of that feature. Pop in, say hello, interact with your fellow listeners and hosts, and grow the 580 Sports Talk community. Again, the name of the channel is 580 Sports Talk, and go subscribe to that channel if you have not already. Go check it out. It's almost like a reset for us. We have 4 days, no show. Now we're back. We're plugging the channel again. Go hop in. Go say hi. Go join the chat with the likes of Paul, Vance, Mark H., Christopher. Appreciate all of you guys checking in early on in the show today. Look forward to hearing from more of you throughout today's show. We began with a Chiefs trade. We had been wondering, who is going to be Patrick Mahomes' understudy? With Mahomes likely to miss the entire offseason period, likely to miss a chunk of training camp, possibility of missing regular season games in 2026, the Chiefs were going to need a backup option with more experience and ability than who was available on the roster. Remember, they had signed former New Orleans Saint and Mountain West Conference legend Jake Haener to a contract right around the end of the regular season. And also Chris Oladokun is under contract and with the organization, though we all saw what that looked like. And that means also that we've seen enough of what that looks like. Today, the Chiefs answered the question. They have found their understudy for Patrick Mahomes, and it is a former first-round pick. It is Justin Fields, acquired today from the Jets in exchange for a conditional 2027 sixth-round draft pick, which is the functional equivalent of a bag of kicking tees for most teams. Now, I don't know what the conditions are yet, and I'm sure we'll find those out in due time. There's a chance those conditions maybe aren't met. The trade ends up being a wash. Chiefs are also picking up $3 million of the $10 million that Justin Fields is owed this year. So that's about how much he'll count to the cap. For most teams, a sixth-round pick is a bag of kicking tees. For the Chiefs, that could be a starting defensive back. That could be Rashad Fenton. You know? A sixth-round pick for Justin Fields. And let's start with the optimist's view on this one, right? Like, there has to be a reason that the Chiefs surveyed their options free agent-wise, trade-wise, and decided our best bet, the one that makes the most sense to us when you factor in the opportunity cost, what it would cost us to acquire this player that we may just need for the offseason, and they're chilling week one behind a healthy Mahomes with his knee repaired and ready to go and start all 17 games in 2026. Or maybe we need this guy to start week one. Maybe we need him to start more than just one game. We could need him to start 4 to 6 weeks to start the season. Factoring all of that in, the Chiefs' brain trust decided Justin Fields was their guy. There must be a reason for that, right? You look at Fields' track record as a player. When he was with organizations and under head coaches that did not know what they were doing, Justin Fields did not play well, did not really contribute to a whole lot of winning, although he did get an MVP vote. You guys remember this? I did not remember this until I saw his Pro Football Reference page today. Justin Fields got an MVP vote in his second year as a starter in the NFL with the Bears. This despite the fact that in the games that Fields started in 2022, they were 3-12. This despite the fact that Fields threw 11 interceptions that year and was sacked a league-high 55 times. He got an MVP vote from the AP in 2022. He did rush for 1,143 yards and 8 touchdowns. Those would be good numbers for a running back, which insert your own joke about Fields' playing ability here. But by and large, Fields' time in Chicago, not all that special. He was 10-28 in 38 starts as the Bears quarterback. In those 38 starts, 40 total games, he threw 40 touchdown passes, but also 30 interceptions, and was sacked an astonishing 135 times. So after 3 years in Chicago, the Bears decided, of course, that they had had enough of their former first-round pick, number 11 overall in the 2021 draft. He ended up in Pittsburgh for a year, and then, of course, spent last year with the Jets. So we have seen Justin Fields in two organizations that could best be described as hopeless, rudderless, leaderless. And in those scenarios, Justin Fields did not play very good football. Justin Fields did not look like a starting caliber quarterback in the National Football League. He did not look much like one in Chicago. That's why they cut bait on their former first-round pick after 3 years, and certainly did not look the part with the Jets last season. Week 1 performance notwithstanding. He had that great game against the Jets. Rodgers had a big game that game too. Whoa, boy, maybe the Jets and the Steelers have something cooking on offense. And neither team had anything cooking on offense. That was just a weird Week 1 game. So, in bad situations, loser franchises, loser head coaches, things didn't really work out for Justin Fields. But we have seen him in a winning organization with a Hall of Fame head coach. What did that look like? Justin Fields went 4-2 as the Pittsburgh starter in 2024. And it was not because he played far and away the best quarterback of his career, though he did have the best completion percentage of his career, and he did have the second best QBR of his career in that run with the Steelers. But he was put in a position where he could succeed, or where at the very least he would not be harmful to the winning cause. And things went okay for Justin Fields in Pittsburgh. So that is the optimist viewpoint, right? Like, that's where you look at this and say, okay, we've seen Justin Fields have to hold down the fort for a winning organization for a stretch of time where the starting quarterback is injured, and things worked out okay. Pittsburgh started 4-2 that year. They probably don't make the playoffs if they'd started any worse, because remember, they kind of crashed towards the end of that season and went out early in the playoffs. This was the tradition under Mike Tomlin there for the last few years of his tenure in Pittsburgh. But that's what it looked like for Fields in a winning environment with a Hall of Fame head coach. And now he gets a second crack at being in a winning environment with a Hall of Fame head coach. That's the optimist viewpoint. The pessimist viewpoint is, have you watched him play? He's not good. It's real simple. It's the eye test, right? Like, watch him play. He's not a good quarterback. He's not a good thrower of the football. He's not a good decision maker. He's good at design runs, but like as a scrambler, not spectacular. I guess if you're the Chiefs, you are obviously you're taking the optimist viewpoint. I'm not surprised that Andy Reid would look at somebody who was a former first-round pick and think, yeah, I could see something here. I can make something shake with this guy. It doesn't surprise me. It makes a lot of sense, honestly. When you take the broad view of why the Chiefs would choose to acquire Justin Fields, just knowing what you know about the Chiefs organization and Brett Veach and his willingness to take chances on talented players, talented athletes, guys who were drafted high but maybe washed out of their first organization, or in Justin Fields' case, his first 3 organizations. Knowing what you know about Andy Reid, knowing what you know about how the Chiefs have acquired backup quarterbacks in recent years, yeah, this acquisition makes a lot of sense. And in an ideal world, he never has to start a game for the Chiefs. Mahomes is back week 1 in that perfect world. But the hope for the Chiefs is that they can get what they've gotten, or what the Steelers got from Justin Fields, which was somebody who could keep it in the road. Somebody surrounded by a winning culture, surrounded by winning players, would be able to steer it from point A to point B a couple of times and get across the finish line with a couple of wins while Mahomes heals. Can he do it? I think it's best for everybody involved if we don't have to find out. But at least it's not costing the Chiefs anything meaningful. A conditional 6th-round pick is not much, though the Chiefs have done some good work with late day 3. But Justin Fields it is. He is going to be the understudy to Patrick Mahomes for 2026. And it's strange that it's Fields because he is different from everybody else that the Chiefs have brought aboard to back up Mahomes in recent years. He's a guy who is better with his legs than with his arm, a mobile quarterback. You were inclined to be impolite, you would say he should already have converted to running back in his career. If you were inclined to be impolite. So he's different than like Gardner Minshew, right? He's different than Carson Wentz. He's different than Blaine Gabbert. Like Blaine Gabbert, crazy arm talent. So that makes the thought of what the Chiefs offense would look like if Fields had to play an interesting thought experiment. Maybe Andy Reid just always wanted to run the veer. Maybe that's an itch. We know Andy loves old film, right? I put in a play from the 1940 whatever Rose Bowl in Super Bowl 54, right? Some Iowa pre-flight stuff. Now, we know Andy's got a taste for the old school. Maybe he's just always wanted to run the veer and brought in a quarterback. All right, we're just going to run the veer. Justin Fields and Kenneth Walker. We're just going to spread and shred teams. We're going to run quarterback option just nonstop. We're going to run 2 guys into the line for 45, 50 plays. Not worry about the pass. Given the choice of receivers on the roster right now with Fields, that's maybe not the worst idea. But there it is, Justin Fields. He's the understudy to Patrick Mahomes. Best for all parties involved if we never have to see him start a game. But I want to know what you think. Get at me on the text line. 785-272-9429 is the number. 785-272-9429. You can also interact in the YouTube live chat as well. Look forward to hearing from you. I missed you guys the last few days. Not that you weren't hearing from me. It's just a different format, different responsibility for yours truly. I'm excited to talk sports with you again on this Monday. We got 2 great guests lined up. Matt Verderame in about 10 minutes. Tim Fitzgerald, go powercat.com, bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. We're going to talk about the new K-State men's basketball coach, Casey Alexander. We're going to talk Big Dance, March Madness. How's your bracket look? Got some more thoughts on what the Chiefs have done while we were on our state tournament hiatus coming up after this timeout. We're just getting started on this Monday on 580 Sports Talk. 329 on 580 Sports Talk. Just getting rolling on this Monday. Our first full show in a week. We were off for state tournament basketball. We did about 30 minutes of programming on Wednesday, if you caught that. But we had a lot of state basketball to get to and a lot of great games over the course of, 5 days this year at the state tournaments. Our thanks to everybody involved with that coverage. And got to shout them all out. Trenton Craxter down in Pori did a wonderful job. Brendan Dorzinski and Spencer Dupuis were great on the desk. Dylan Sherwood pinch hit for us out in Hutchinson for the awesome Osage City Halstead overtime thriller on Friday. Appreciate him. Eric Peterson on the desk on the Kansas State Tournament wrap-up show did his usual outstanding job. So my big thanks to everybody, and a thanks to every one of you who checked it out. Whether you listen to all of it, some of it, bits and pieces here and there, thanks for tuning in. We do it for y'all, and we do it for the communities, and we do it for the kids and the coaches and the fans, and it sure is a cool thing to be. It's my favorite thing to be involved in every single year. And we've been fortunate to do it for 59 years here at 580 WIBW, and I know as soon as they turned the lights off, literally they turned the lights off on me at the Hutchinson Sports Arena on Saturday, which was fine. I still had power. I could do what I needed to do, get out of there. But they literally turned the lights off on me. From the time they did that, I already am thinking about year 60 next year. So wanted to make sure that got mentioned. Justin Fields is a Kansas City Chief. Have some thoughts on that from the listeners. Vance pointing out that he's not going to hold his performance with the Jets against him because, as I mentioned, bad situation, bad coach, not a lot of talent around him, just a dysfunctional organization. Like, I understand it. Like, you look at Fields' track record, his best performance in terms of not being a hindrance to winning, maybe even being additive to winning in some ways, came while he was in Pittsburgh, which is a winning organization, was coached by a Hall of Famer, Mike Tomlin. Well, now he's back in a winning organization, coached by a Hall of Famer. If anybody's going to get good football out of Justin Fields, you'd bet on it being Andy Reid. A texter from the 715 points out that Andy Reid's always liked those dual threat quarterbacks. He had Don McNabb, Michael Vick in Philadelphia, gave Michael Vick his second chance that Vick made the most of. And that is true. It's just been a really long time since he's had that guy in Kansas City. A lot of the guys he's had to back up Mahomes have been, more traditional pocket passing type quarterbacks. Other thoughts from the live chat. Paul says, Chiefs leading rusher for a couple years to spend the quarterback anyway. May as well get a mobile quarterback and save a few plays of Mahomes' legs. I could definitely see there being a Justin Fields package of plays, even if he doesn't have to start at all. I could see there being a package of plays with Justin Fields coming in for Mahomes, which I don't know why you'd ever want to take Mahomes off the field. But, with first year back from a knee injury, maybe it's a little bit more justified. And I'll tell you this, too. Maybe we finally have a quarterback who can run a quarterback sneak. Maybe bring him in and run the sneak. They haven't really wanted to run the sneak with anybody else since Blake Bell retired, but Blake Bell's a college quarterback, right? Comfortable taking that snap. They want to do it with Minshew. They want to do it with Wentz. Bring the quarterback sneak back. Maybe Justin Fields has got to bring it back with this year. Andrew says he has no problem with the trade. When other teams willing to pick up a good majority of the salary, you give up a future 6th-round pick. I'll take it. Yeah, the Chiefs are only picking up $3 million of the $10 million owed to Fields this coming year. Keep in mind, Fields got that money from the Jets based on what he did with a winning organization under a winning head coach. Was what he did, spectacular? Was it way out of the norm of his career performance? Not really. There's nothing really special about his numbers. There's nothing about that 10-game stint as a Steeler, 6 of which were starts, where you come away saying, oh, man, yeah, that was far and away the kind of football that definitely earns you a second chance. The only thing that was different was the win-loss record. And how much does a quarterback really have to do with that at the end anyway, right? Would be a fair argument, a fair riposte there. But it isn't costing the Chiefs a whole lot. And again, best case scenario, Mahomes is back week 1. And the extent that we see Fields is maybe as the sneak quarterback or the gadget quarterback. We'll take a timeout. We'll see what Matt Verderame thinks. Our NFL insider is going to join us after this timeout with his take on the Fields trade, every other Chiefs move from the last week, and other NFL headlines. That's coming up next on this Monday edition of 580 Sports Talk. We are joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline by our NFL insider, Matt Verderame, who joins us every week On this time here on the program, Matt covers the league at Sports Illustrated, SI.com. Also appears on That Football Show on the KC Sports Network and has his own subscriber-only Patreon, The Matt Verderame Show. Matt, Justin Fields is the next backup quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs, and maybe the most important one they've had in a while because he might have to start week one. What do you think the Chiefs see in Justin Fields that made him the target of their backup quarterback search?
That he's cheap. And they were, I seriously, I think sometimes like people read way too much into these things. It's like, oh, well, Mahomes, he's got these. If I guess here's the best way I can put this. Years ago, when Peyton Manning was a quarterback in Indianapolis, a reporter asked then offensive coordinator, a longtime offensive coordinator, Tom Moore, hey, why don't you guys ever get the backups any snaps? And Moore looked at the reporter and said, because if 18 gets hurt, we're blanked, and we don't practice blank. Like, the reality is, if Mahomes isn't there for weeks 1 through 4, they got a huge problem no matter who's playing. The reason they went and got Fields is, sure, listen, he's a first-round talent, and Beats loves those kinds of guys. That's all fine and well, and they've got a relationship with the front office. The reality is, a lot like last year, they got Gardner Minshew because Gardner Minshew was getting paid for by the Raiders. Well, they went and got Justin Fields because Justin Fields decided $3 million getting paid for by the Jets, and they didn't feel like having to pay $6, $7, $8 million for a backup quarterback. So I think a lot of this was motivated by the fact that, sure, we'll give up a future 6, we'll trade back 4 spots and get one next year, and in the meantime, we'll get a quarterback that's $3 million instead of 2 or 3 times that price.
So, if Fields has to start games for the Chiefs, I agree with you. That would be blanked, which you don't the thing you don't practice for. If the Chiefs are having to lean on Fields for like a month's worth of starts, but previously the backups to Mahomes had all been drop back guys, arm talent guys. Fields is a runner who happens to take snaps. So, like, what does the Chiefs' offense look like? Walk me through the apocalypse. If Fields has to start the first month of games, what then does the Chiefs' offense have to look like?
It's not good. It's not a good offense. I mean, honestly, all kidding aside, it would be a ton of read option with Fields and Kenneth Walker. I mean, that's what it would have to be. It would be that. It would be throwing to Kelsey. It would be trying to just mitigate as much as possible what Fields does when he drops back, because he can't successfully drop back 30 times. He cannot do it. It's been shown. Even the year when everybody went crazy about him with the Bears, he went for like 20 some odd 100 yards. He didn't even throw for 3,000 yards that season, and he was sacked more than any quarterback in the NFL. Like, he takes a ton of sacks, a ton of them. They're not, like, if he's got to play, there's Andy Reid's asking Justin Fields to just drop back a whole bunch and throw the ball. It's going to be you run, Walker runs, swing passes, throwing to Kelsey, and praying that Spags can hold him under 20. Like, that would be the thought. But like I said, to me, this is nothing more than he's cheap, and we can bring this guy in cheap. And sure, Andy can get his claws into him, and maybe he can get the best out of him. And, we got one of these week 18 things where he plays against the Raiders and throws for 400 yards. But, like, the reality is, if he's not, they're going to be in huge trouble. I don't care who they're playing.
Matt Verderame covers the National Football League for Sports Illustrated. He's our NFL insider here on 580 Sports Talk, joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline. Let's take a look at the rest of what the Chiefs have done since the start of the new league year. When we talked last Monday, you said it was necessary for the Chiefs to come out of free agency with a veteran safety and a veteran cornerback. They ticked both of those boxes. Alohi Gilman, formerly of the Chargers and Ravens, and Kader Kohu, formerly most recently of the Dolphins. Let's start with Gilman. Gilman at that price or Brian Cook at the price he signed for the Bengals, what do you think is the better value? Did the Chiefs actually maybe come out ahead in the exchange?
They're comparable, but honestly, I think Gilman, I think you'd probably rather have Gilman at that price. Look, Brian Cook's a really solid player. And he'll be good for the Bengals. And it's cool for him. He gets to go back to his hometown and everything else. I mean, that's awesome. Gilman has been a really, really solid player the last 3-4 years. Chargers, and then most recently the last half of this past season with the Ravens. He can play in the box. He can play up high. He can play in man coverage. Like, he's never going to make a Pro Bowl. He's not an All-Pro. He's, though, the kind of player I felt like, and I've talked a lot about it, I've written about this, I feel like they missed last year, where they still had star players last year, but they had no second tier on that roster. No, it was just like, you're either awesome or you're atrocious, and there's just no in between. Gilman, he's not quite the player Justin Reed is. That would be an overstatement. But he's very similar. He's a leader. He went to Navy and Notre Dame. He's a tackler. He's a tone setter. He's a leader on the back end. Like, he gives them a lot. Like, I think he's like 85% of Justin Reed. Like, but like a very similar player to him. So, like, I think it's a really good signing. And then Kohu's interesting because Kohu comes in off the ACL. But prior to that, his first 3 years in the league, he had no injury problems. He played durable. He was fine. He can play outside, but he mostly played in the slot with Miami, which makes you wonder, okay, like, everybody keeps looking at that and, then he's going to replace Trent McDuffie. If you go look at last season, Trent McDuffie barely played in the slot. Like, statistically speaking, I think he had 4 or 5 snaps were outside, like 75-80% of his snaps on the boundary. They're really using Kohu to replace Chamari Connor in the slot. So, like, I think that makes for a really interesting addition because, yes, he can go outside if Fulton gets hurt or they want him out there and they like Roland Wallace or something. But Kohu gives them a really solid inside option because he was really quite good before he got hurt last year. I like both those signs. I think both those guys really kind of firm up the back end for the Chiefs.
So if the Chiefs end up with their top 3 safeties, Gilman, Connor, Jaden Hicks, their top 3 cornerbacks, Noah Williams, Christian Fulton, Kader Kohu, yep. And then they add at corner with one of their 3 picks in the top 40 of the draft. How good is that secondary, realistically speaking?
I think it's solid. I think it's now, like, obviously it depends. If they take a corner at 29, the guy turns out to be awesome. That's pretty good secondary. It's a really good secondary. I would say this. I think you at least would feel like, okay, we're not a bad secondary for the Chiefs. You're not walking away thinking, okay, we're going to get smoked. Like, it's solid. It's good, and Merritt and Spags will make it better. The big question for me is Fulton. Like, what are you getting? Because literally the first 15 weeks of the year, he played 29 defensive snaps. And 15 of those were in week 1. Like, he didn't play football for them for 15 weeks. And then all of a sudden, when the season was over, they were like, all right, go get him, Christian, see what happens. And the last 3 weeks of the year, he played a ton, and he played well. And he's 27 years old, and he's got a track record. Like, if you said to me, you're going to get a good, solid year, a B to B-plus year out of Christian Fulton, I'd say, I think that secondary is probably pretty good. I think Noah Williams can play. I like Kohu. He's a good slot corner. Those safeties, that's fine. Connor's a good safety. He's not a good slot corner. He's terrible in the slot. He's a good safety. But if Fulton's not that, if Fulton is another one of these no-show years or he gets hurt, then you're really relying on that top 40 pick. That guy's got to be good. But I think their secondary is probably a lesser concern at this point than edge and receiver, which to me are clearly their 2 top picks.
Matt Verderame is our guest, our NFL insider here on 580 Sports Talk, joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. Looking around the rest of the league, I want to ask about one Chief in particular, one former Chief. A lot of guys finding new homes. Charles Omenihu and Leo Chanel both going to the Commanders. We talked about Brian Cook to the Bengals, Jalen Watson going to the Rams, Isaiah Pacheco in Detroit. Juwan Taylor doesn't have a job yet. Does that surprise you?
No, it doesn't. And I know it surprises a lot of people. Look, he's taken more penalties the last 3 years than anybody else in the league, and it's not even close. And I know people will say, well, yeah, if you take away the penalties, though, he's been a really solid right now. Sure, right. I mean, and if I lost 20 pounds, I might be on the cover of GQ, but I'm not, right? Like, great, sure. If not for the penalties, he's a really good right there, but he takes them. So he's problematic. And I think a lot of teams are going, yeah, look, you're an option, sure, but there's a lot of tackles in this draft, especially on the right side, frankly. Like, it's not a good left tackle draft. It's actually a pretty decent right tackle draft. And I think a lot of teams would say, look, I'd rather have Caden Proctor. I'd rather have Lomo. I'd rather have Spencer Fano. I'd rather have, fill in the blank, right? And so, yeah, listen, do I think he's going to get signed? Oh, yeah, like he'll sign, and he may very well start somewhere, maybe even has a really nice year for whoever he signs with. But I think a lot of teams just look at it and go, hey, man, if you're going to take 20 penalties a year, it legitimately is about what he takes. That's 20 drives, you're just killing the drive. The drive's just over because you decided to take a penalty on 3rd and 5 and 3rd and 10. Like, I think that stuff, that's going to tank your market.
Kyler Murray and Tua Tagovailoa have found new homes. Kyler Murray is going to be a Viking. Tua is going to the Falcons. Do you foresee bounce-back opportunities? Do you like the fit for both of those former number 1 overall picks?
So, I do. Tua is kind of, I think, holding a place there for Penix, right? I mean, Penix, now the concern for Atlanta is, Penix has had 3 torn ACLs. I mean, it's just, it's a pattern, obviously, at this point. The flip side, I think Kyler Murray, like, if he can't succeed there, he might as well pack it in. Okay? I mean, that team has weapons. That team has real weapons. They've got O'Connell coaching. If you're Kyler Murray and you can't figure out in a dome how to score a bunch of points with that team, then I think you're probably looking at the back half of your career. You're going to bounce around. You're going to be a highly sought after backup, all those things. But you're not going to probably get another opportunity like this. Tua, yeah, look, it's not a bad opportunity. Stefanski, it's again good weapons, certainly good weapons. An offensive line that's solid, but I think he's more holding a place. Where if Murray goes in there and plays really well, especially after what happened with Darnold to the Vikings, are they really going to let him walk out the door? Like, he might actually play himself into a huge deal there. Right? I don't think Tua is going to have that opportunity.
What's Pittsburgh going to do at quarterback? You convinced they're going to run it back with Rodgers, or do you think that's a last resort if other things fall through?
I think they kind of have to. I mean, realistically, at this point, where else are they going? Cousins? Jimmy Garoppolo? Like, where are they going? I don't know. The draft's atrocious at quarterback. Like, unless they're planning to make the biggest move of all time and go up to 1. Like, I just don't see. I don't see how they're going to do this. I don't think there's any quarterback that's on the market. I mean, listen, everybody's got some kind of a price, right? But it would be astronomical for them to go out and get somebody who's a top 12 quarterback in the league, and I don't even know if they could if they wanted. I think it will be Rodgers. And the shame is with Pittsburgh, I actually really like what they've done this offseason, dude. Jaquan Brisker, trade for Michael Pittman, bringing back Asante Samuel, going and getting Jamel Dean. I think the Steelers done a really nice job. But that team is better. I think it's a really nice roster. I love that they got Dowdle in there. I know he replaces Gainwell, so they lose something to gain something. But yeah, I think it's Rodgers. And I think Rodgers puts a cap on that team. Like, they're probably no more than what they were a year ago just based on his play. He's 42 years old. But, I would be surprised if somebody else was the starting quarterback in Pittsburgh.
Matt Verderame covers the National Football League for Sports Illustrated, SI.com. Also appears on That Football Show on the KC Sports Network. Has his own subscriber-only Patreon where you can get great content and podcasts. The Matt Verderame Show, and appears with us every Monday here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt, always a pleasure. We'll do it again next week.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys. Take care.
That is Matt Verderame. We'll take a timeout, come back, wrap up this hour with the good, the bad, the ugly from the weekend that was on 580 Sports Talk. The good, the bad, the ugly from the weekend that was. I'll start with my good state championship Saturday in high school basketball. Hayden Wildcats state champs for the first time in 22 years, taking down Bishop Miege to do it, denying them their 26th title of all time. It's number 5 all time for Hayden. Congrats to those girls. Congrats to Coach Carvel Reynoldson. Wonderful run through the tournament. Tremendous stuff for them to beat last year's champ in the semifinals, Wellington, to beat Bishop Miege. Just a terrific team effort. All 9 girls who played brought something to the table and helped that team win a title. Very, very cool stuff. And the Silver Lake girls, also state champions in Class 3A, second time in 3 years, 8th time all time. Just another team with terrific poise and confidence, and one of the best high school players I've ever seen, their point guard, Kaylin Haney. Congratulations, Coach Kyle Porter and the Eagles on their state championship. My bad, the disappointment of first-round losses for the Washburn men and women. Tremendous seasons for both the men, 31-2. Just a heartbreaking way for their campaign to end. The women gave it a great run, won the MIAA tournament, back in the tournament first time, 13 years. Disappointment to be sure, but nothing to hang the heads about. Terrific seasons for the Ichabods on the hardwood. I don't really have an ugly. I'm sad that basketball season is over, but I'm happy I get to see my family a little bit more. My wife's not a basketball widow, as she puts it. I get to see them a lot more, my kid a lot more here in the next little while. Coming up in the 4 o'clock hour, Casey Alexander introduced today. We'll hear from him and talk to Tim Fitzgerald at 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Hour number 2, 580 Sports Talk on this Monday afternoon. Thanks so much for being with us on the sports voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and on our video streaming channels, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube, WIBW News on Facebook. I'm Dan Lucero, flying mostly solo today. Brendan Dworzinski is off today. Spencer Dupuis will be in a bit. Plenty more to get to over the next 2 hours. There's always a lot to get to. You're playing catch-up when you don't do a show for 4 days, where you do 30 minutes of show over a 4-day period. Gives you a lot to discuss. And a lot to chew on, including a new basketball coach at Kansas State, Casey Alexander, formerly the Belmont head coach. Introduced today, gave his introductory press conference. We'll play a couple of clips from it. We're not going to play all 26 minutes, I think is what it timed out to, of the introductory press conference in Manhattan today. But I do have a couple of things I want you to hear Casey Alexander say, because I think they're interesting and I think they speak to what I said a couple of weeks ago, the number one thing that whoever the next hire was for Kansas State had to get right, because it was allowed to slip, because the standards for it were allowed to slip in the Jerome Tang era. So we're going to hear from Casey Alexander here in a little bit. The hire, of course, was announced last week, so you didn't get our initial reactions, but I still have some thoughts that I want to get out, especially after I was, let's call it, skeptical of Kansas State's ability to make a great hire to replace Jerome Tang, given the circumstances. And I think they came about as close as they possibly could have to making a great hire, given the circumstances. And that people that are disappointed by the hire of Casey Alexander weren't going to be happy with whoever Kansas State hired. And frankly, Kansas State basketball is better off if they ignore the contingent of fans who will not be satisfied as long as Brad Underwood is on a sideline that isn't in Manhattan. And that is a not insignificant percentage of the Kansas State basketball fan base. The Frank Martin hardliners have transitioned into being Brad Underwood hardliners. And Kansas State is wise, would be wise, will be wise to just ignore that portion of the fan base moving forward. So we got that to talk about today, and because today was the introductory press conference for Coach Alexander, and because we didn't have a Wildcat Wrap-Up on Wednesday, we have a Wildcat Wrap-Up today with Tim Fitzgerald at GoPowerCat.com. Typically joins us Wednesdays at 4:35. He's going to join us today at 4:35 to talk about his impressions from meeting the new head coach of K-State men's basketball and where he believes the program is going to go under Casey Alexander. We also have What Is Wrong With You this hour as well. We'll have 2 new stories competing to start a brand new week on What Is Wrong With You. And we want to hear from you on the text line. 785-272-9429 is the text line number. Shoot us a text. Your questions, your thoughts, especially if you're a K-State fan, want to hear from you about the Casey Alexander hire and questions and comments you have on that. Get them into 785-272-9429. You can also drop your thoughts into the live chat on our YouTube stream. We are live every day on the radio. Well, not every day, as you found out last week, but every day that we are live on the radio from 3 to 6 Central Time. And now we're getting into the part of the year where 3 to 6 becomes maybe 3 to 5:30, maybe 3 to 5, maybe 4:30 to 6, because we got Royals baseball right around the corner. But generally speaking, the regularly scheduled program is 3 to 6. And when we're live on the radio, we're live on the YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Go subscribe. Smash that subscribe button. Or just tap it and click it. That's fine too. You don't actually have to smash anything. But it doesn't cost you anything but a click, and it makes our subscriber number go up, and that's always really nice. Show the love. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. And while you're watching the YouTube, jump on into the chat. Say hello. Interact with your fellow listeners. Interact with your hosts as we go along throughout the show. I have seen both in the YouTube chat and some of you texting the program, sending your appreciation for our state tournament basketball coverage over the past 5 days. We were live with state basketball Tuesday through Saturday, the brand new format for state basketball. I expressed some concerns, I guess you would say, about how exactly the quarterfinals ended up being situated, the neutral site quarterfinals across the state, where you might be a 5A team playing in Wichita, and then after you is a 2A game, and you might be in a big gym, or you might be in a smaller gym, or you might be a 2A school and your boys and girls made the tournament, and you might be in Salina one day and Wichita the next, and then somewhere else on Thursday. I think there are some kinks that can be ironed out. I think also what you saw in some sites, particularly in Kansas City, were some really good crowds and atmospheres. Smaller buildings, bigger crowds. You know, the more of the percentage of the building that is full of people, the better the atmosphere is going to be. That's why White Auditorium is so great for this thing, and why Charles Koch Arena sometimes is lacking. Even though it's a great building and a cool place to play, the atmosphere sometimes lacks, depending on who's playing there for 6A and this last year 5A. But I think that there were some successes for the quarterfinal rounds. I don't know if you saw what the crowd looked like for Bonner Springs and Washington in the quarterfinals at KCKCC. That looked like a college game. That looked like it was an incredible crowd. They were turning people away at the door. Like, that's what it can be. But it also can be, if you were a Rossville parent having to go from Salina to Wichita back-to-back days with a chance of having to go the next 3 days to Emporia, I could understand where that might have been a little frustrating too. It's the first year. You're never going to get it 100% right. You're never going to please everybody. But having multiple classes with championship games on Saturday, that ruled. That was awesome. And that's the whole idea that Case is trying to get to, is fewer championship sites, better atmospheres, maybe more of a crowd for those games. And I thought that was great. I thought it was great in Hutchinson, where I spent championship Saturday. So we'll have some more thoughts on that. We'll recap it coming up in our headlines segment in the 5 o'clock hour. Still got plenty of headlines to get to. Still going to talk some NCAA tournament. The bracket is out. Kansas, the number 4 seed, didn't have to wait long to have their name called, right? Like, if you turned it on, like, I'm just going to watch until Kansas is they put the Jayhawks up. You could turn it off 3 minutes into the show. They were the 4 seed in the East. Means a path to the regional final probably takes them through Cal Baptist, St. John's, or Northern Iowa. You know, you can never rule them out in March. And Duke, probably. So, yeah, not an easy bracket, because you got UConn, who's won 2 championships recently on the other side, even though I think they're kind of fake good this year. I think everybody in the Big East is fake good. I think everybody just assuming St. John's is going to beat Kansas. I understand why. I do. But I wouldn't make the same assumption that there's no way Kansas can beat St. John's. The Big East stunk all year. We'll get into more of that and some other thoughts on the NCAA tournament coming up in the 5 o'clock hour as well. Like I said, your texts, your thoughts in the comments, and the live chat on YouTube are welcome here on 580 Sports Talk. But I did want to get to Casey Alexander today. He was the man of the moment in Manhattan, the new head coach of the Kansas State Wildcats. 5-year contract, $3.3 million for next season, and a base salary increase of $50,000 each year of the 5 years on the contract. The 53-year-old Alexander has a career record of 303 and 180 in his 15-year head coaching career. He was at Stetson for 2 years. He was at Lipscomb for 6 years, and he was at Belmont since 2019. Won 6 conference championships, appeared in 3 NCAA tournaments. Probably should have been a 4th this year. They were the regular season champs in the Missouri Valley Conference, but man, Arch Madness, right? You never know. They lost right out of the gate in the conference tournament to number 9 seed Drake. Yeah, it's March, right? It's Arch Madness. It'd be like that sometimes. So when Jerome Tang got fired, I stood behind this microphone and I said that the Kansas State job was likely not going to be appealing to the hot young name, the hot mid-major coach looking to move up the ladder. That any thoughts that Kansas State was going to get Josh Schertz or Jared Calhoun from Utah State were misguided. That what Kansas State was likely staring at was a period of time where the roster needed to be rebuilt, the trust with the fan base and the donors needed to be rebuilt, and where instant success was probably not guaranteed. Whoever they hired, I thought, was going to have it rough, maybe for more than just 1 year. And I thought that that made it less appealing for guys who are obviously the upwardly mobile coaching candidates. Guys like Calhoun, who's moved up and up and up, or Schertz, who's moved up from Division II to where he's at. He just signed an extension, by the way, at St. Louis, which tells me Josh Schertz and his agent know whatever big job is next to open up, he can have. Like, he's going to be everybody's first call who has a major conference job open up, and he can pick. He can pick which one he likes. And that wasn't going to be K-State. It was never going to be K-State. Any idea that they were going to hire Josh Schertz was ridiculous. I think Casey Alexander might be the best possible hire Kansas State could have made, given all of the circumstances. Given the money they're going to owe Jerome Tang to go away, which there's still no lawsuit, which means both sides are maybe hoping they can avoid such a thing still to this point. But it's going to cost Kansas State a good chunk of change to make Jerome Tang disappear. When you factor in that, yes, Kansas State has money. Kansas State is, as Casey Alexander put it in his press conference, they are resourced in a way that is maybe not what people outside of Kansas State, outside of the Big 12, would guess or would understand. But also, they've got some gun-shy donors who were burnt by the Jerome Tang NIL spending sprees and who might rather address their checks, put football in the memo line instead of basketball here for the coming years. That's certainly a possibility. But what Kansas State went and did was hired a veteran coach with a winning track record and a track record of finding guys who are outstanding players who might have been diamonds in the rough. That's the one thing that he got a lot of credit for. Two things, really, that he gets a lot of credit for from the people in the know, the people who really follow college hoops. Number one is the ability to find talent. Number two is the ability to coach offense. Belmont's one of the higher scoring teams, one of the best three-point shooting teams in the country, year over year over year over year. And what stands out to me about Alexander's resume, so this is what I like about a mid-major coach. This one thing, if you're at a mid-major that usually wins or has a tradition of winning, and it's not impressive to win in a place where somebody else has won. There's no guarantee replacing a guy who was a bona fide legend at Belmont like Rick Byrd that Casey Alexander was going to be able to keep that torch lit. But he did. He kept that program on track. But before that, he was at Lipscomb, and that is not a winning program. And they were an NCAA tournament program under Casey Alexander. Yeah, only the once, but that's the way life is in those one-bid leagues. If you can win where it's not easy to win, if you can win where they don't take winning for granted, if you can win in a way they've never won before at a job like that, that stands out to me. That suggests some ability. So I'm more impressed, honestly, by Alexander having taken Lipscomb to the tournament than I am what he did at Belmont. What he did at Belmont, pretty impressive. They would have gone to the tournament in 2020 if not for COVID. They won the conference tournament this year. He won 4 league championships at Belmont. Or rather 3. He won the 2019 regular season at Lipscomb and won the conference tournament the year before that, get into the tournament. So he built that thing up, and it wasn't a fluke. He proved it wasn't a fluke. They went to the tournament one year. They won the regular season in the league the year after that. I understand that he's not the young coach that many would have wanted to see hired, but Gene Taylor was very explicit from the beginning. They wanted experience. They want an experienced head coach. They got a guy with 15 years under his belt, 6 conference championships under his belt, 3 NCAA tournament trips under his belt. I think they hired the best coach they could possibly have hired, given the circumstances. I'm not sure they could have done better. I really don't think, given what they were looking for, given the circumstances surrounding how the last hire went and what kind of money they might owe him and the circumstances of the current tenuous relationship between the fans and the donors and this program, I think they did as best they could have possibly done with the hire of Casey Alexander. I want you to hear some of what Alexander had to say today. This first part is from his introductory remarks. And this is him talking about what it's going to look like, what a Casey Alexander Kansas State basketball program is going to look like.
Everything for me starts with style, like style of play, style of player, style of program. And we can get deeper into it, but the style of play kind of dictates everything else. If we're going to be a wishbone team, coach, we gotta have a certain number of guys. We're probably not going to do that, but if we were, it would look a little different, right? We want to be a style that is fun to play, fun to watch, fun to cheer for, and leads to wins. Obviously, we want to be high tempo. Every coach in the world is going to say they want to be high tempo. All right, and get up and down the floor. Not every coach can say they're typically in the top 25 in the country in that category per year or scoring per game. We want to be a high assist team. We want to be a really unselfish team. We want to get a lot of work done at the 3-point line, but we don't want to live and die at the 3-point line. We want to be really efficient outside the arc, inside the arc. Our team this year at Belmont was the number 1 effective field goal percentage team in the country. So we had great success offensively through the years, but we do it in an efficient way. It's not a track meet. It's just let's figure out how to get the right kind of players who have the right skills. Above all else, understand what it means to play together. All right, that want to share the ball, that understand what it means to be a great teammate. All the things that this day and age are a little tougher to come by, quite honestly. There's a lot out there that distracts from the business at hand, which is winning. But we want guys that are still committed to that, and that's exactly how we're going to build. The good thing about doing this in this modern day is things can change quickly, and sometimes you throw darts and you hope you get lucky and strike gold, and it happens, and it's some short-term pleasure that everybody loves. What I would love for you to see is a program that from year to year, what the identity of our team is. You recognize faces from year to year. When you walk in there, the style of play you're going to get, and it's super predictable. We got to be able to adapt. You got to be able to change. That stuff happens all the time in athletics and within a game. But I want you to see some consistency. I want you to know our players. I want them to be in the community. I want them to be here consistently. I want to see some retention. All right. I don't want to flip a roster over every season. And that might take a minute or two for us to get to that point. I think we'll probably have quite a bit of turnover this go around, but we don't want to see that on an annual basis. We want to build a program, and I think that's another thing that really, really impressed me about K-State, but I really authentically believe that it's the kind of place with the kind of people that want that. Everybody wants to win. Everybody wants excitement. But what I believe about this community is you want something you can really hold on to and believe in and track with and wrap your arms around. And so that's really important to me that we do it that way. And so excited about that.
Again, that was Casey Alexander earlier today. I think he hit the nail on the head there at the end with his assessment of what Kansas State fans want. You always hire the opposite of what you had before. Anytime you make a coaching change, right? Whatever you fire, whoever you let go, you're always going to hire the opposite. And Casey Alexander sure sounds like he wants to build the opposite kind of program that Jerome Tang was building in Manhattan, where Jerome Tang was turning the roster over every year. Jerome Tang was throwing darts and hoping to strike gold. And Casey Alexander coming in here talking about wanting to build something that lasts, wanting to build connection with the fans, connection with the program. That's not an accident. That's not a mistake. And I think that's the most important thing he can do. I think that's the most important thing Kansas State basketball can do moving forward is have an identity. Be Kansas State basketball. What does that mean? Whatever the coach and the players decide. But it has to mean something, and it has to be consistent. Because Kansas State basketball under Jerome Tang did not have an identity. And I said it repeatedly this year as it was winding down, and I said it in the wake of his firing. Whoever takes over has to establish an identity for Kansas State basketball. And it sure sounds like Casey Alexander's intent is to establish an identity for Kansas State basketball. And that's a good first step for a guy I think was as good a hire as they could possibly have made. We'll get Tim Fitzgerald's perspective here in just a little bit. He's going to join us for an earlier than usual in the week edition of Wildcat Wrap-Up. But we got What Is Wrong With You coming up next here at 580 WIBW. It is time for What is Wrong with You here on 580 Sports Talk. 2 news stories competing on this Monday. And to bring us the story today, Spencer Dupuis. Hi, Spencer.
Hello.
Let's get right to it. We got 2 fairly quick, straightforward stories today. I'm going to go first. We're going to Kitsap County, Washington, where the Kitsap County Sheriff's Office says a 21-year-old Lake Bay woman who lost control of her vehicle and landed in a ditch was driving under the influence of alcohol. Now, typically, we would not have a DUI-related accident as a what is wrong with you because, unfortunately, that's the kind of thing that happens all the time. What makes this a what is wrong with you, you may ask? Well, the crash happened just before 1 a.m. on a Wednesday, and when deputies arrived at the scene, the woman denied drinking, telling deputies she was just going a little too fast. But deputies said her car smelled distinctly like alcohol, and the woman was showing signs of being intoxicated. A search warrant was granted over the phone for a blood draw, which will be evaluated for blood alcohol concentration and forwarded to the prosecuting attorney's office. So yeah, she basically did one of those. Oh, I was just resting my eyes, right? I'm not sleeping. I just rested my eyes. Now my car is just resting in the ditch. We just pressed on that accelerator a little too hard, sir. Nothing to see here. I'm just a moron driver. Nothing more than that going on here. Yeah, why does your car reek of Bushmills? Why is your car redolent of booze? Nothing to say to that. So, yeah, that's why it's a what is wrong with you. The woman's like, no, I'm not drunk. I just suck at driving. I was just going too fast, officer. Nope. Well, she may have been, but also she was drunk. Probably. Anyway, your story today, the 11th commandment. Thou shalt steal. That's how I remember it. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're going to Pittsburgh. The head priest and dean of Trinity Episcopal Cathedral in downtown Pittsburgh is facing charges after being accused of stealing more than $1,000 in baseball cards from a Walmart. The very Reverend Aiden Smith was arrested February 27th by police just after leaving a Walmart just outside of Pittsburgh with 27 packs of baseball cards concealed under his clothing and in a cardboard box.
He was looking for those refractors. Trying to pull that Shohei.
Yeah, according to court records, Smith, 42, was arrested and charged with receiving stolen property and retail theft. Police responded to the call, who said Smith was in the store again, having stolen from it the previous day.
He did it 5 straight days?
Yes. Yeah, police said Walmart security video shows Smith also taking baseball cards each of its 4 previous days and leaving without paying. The total value was $1,099.99.
The Lord wants me to have this Pete Crow Alexander rookie card.
Yes,
Pete Crow Armstrong rookie card.
He's actually been on administrative leave since late January, so might not be the only crisis in his life.
For those wondering, the very Reverend is not as high a rank as the right Reverend.
Yes.
Or the most Reverend. I had to Google that. Anyhow, yeah, man, it's stealing baseball cards every day for 5 days from Walmart.
That's the least of his problems, it appears.
It appears. I don't know if the Episcopals do Hail Marys or what. I don't think so. I think that's probably strictly Catholic, but yeah, he's got some repentance to do. That one wins today pretty handily, I think. Thou shalt steal a buttload of baseball cards. That's our winner on What is Wrong with You. Good find, Spencer. We'll take a break. When we come back, Tim Fitzgerald's going to join us. We're going to talk Cats on an early edition of the Wildcat Wrap-Up here on 580 Sports Talk. We are joined 2 days earlier than usual in the week by Tim Fitzgerald to GoPowerCat.com for a Wildcat Wrap-Up new head men's basketball coach edition. Casey Alexander introduced earlier today, formally with a press conference at Bramlage Coliseum, and Tim Fitzgerald to GoPowerCat.com, where he and the staff have covered the hiring and today's events, is gracious enough to take some time and join us on this Monday afternoon. I know you usually hear him on Wednesdays, but here's Tim Fitzgerald on a Monday for you. And Fitz, when did it become clear in the process that Alexander was the likely hire? Was it, do you feel like they had honed in on him pretty quickly, or was he maybe part of a broad field that they had to whittle down in a short period of time?
Yeah, there was, 4 or 5, maybe 6 guys. They got it down to 2 or 3. There remains what I believe is the sitting head coach that was involved in this in some degree, but I don't think it ever really got past talking. I was really impressed with him, but I don't think he was the first choice. I think Jared Calhoun was who they thought they were going to get. They had made, kind of laid out what they're willing to do, and it went to the agent level, and they were supposed to get back, and they blew through 2 different deadlines, and Gene Taylor said, okay, we're moving on, period. I don't know if he was still going to be interested or not, but they just immediately pivoted to Casey Alexander, and I think they got it right. I don't know that much about Calhoun. I'm sure he's a likable guy, but there's something about Casey Alexander that seems like a really good fit for Kansas State, and we'll find out.
What was your biggest takeaway from what he had to say at his press conference today?
He is the antithesis of Jerome Tang. He talked about building a program. He talked about roster construction. He talks about culture and locker room and all the things that actually go into being a good basketball team that goes beyond just the talent on your team. And what I think struck me the most about him is he's been at the supply level of the transfer portal. 2-3 guys a year he's losing. And those aren't backups. Those are key players coming out of Belmont and going on to power level schools and having success. They had no money to retain with. They had no money to recruit with. It was old-fashioned college basketball, and he was losing players every year, and he didn't lose games every year. Like he just kept finding ways to win and rebuild because he developed his own players, and as guys went out, new guys stepped up, and it's exactly what has not been happening at Kansas State.
Tim Fitzgerald, GoPowerCat.com, is our guest on this Monday afternoon, joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. So you mentioned that, Fitz, and what stood out to me, he's talking about all of that process of having to replace players. And a lot of coaches will use the NIL era, the broad sweeping term that I think coaches still use, even though this era has only been, really a part of the atmosphere for the last 5, 6, 7 years. They used it as a crutch. And even by the end of his tenure at Kansas State, Jerome Tang was starting to use it as a crutch, use it as an excuse. So I was supposed to have this kind of roster, and I didn't have the roster I really wanted to get, and all of this. If ever a coach had a reason to be grumpy about what the NIL era is and to make excuses about the NIL era, it would have been Casey Alexander at Belmont. And the fact that there he is talking about, hey, this is just what it is. This is the reality of it. And now I'm in a situation where maybe I can benefit from it more than I can be hurt by it, and just use it and operate within the constraints of the rules and the way the game is played. That to me stood out as refreshing, that rather than the excuses that we started to get towards the end of the Tang era, we're going to get a coach that said, all right, if this is the way the game's going to be played, this is the way I'm going to play the game. Check ball. Let's do it.
Yeah, you're exactly right. You nailed it. He isn't running from the portal. He's not angry over the portal. He's not making excuses because of the portal. They lost in their conference tournament because they played a bad game. He didn't come up with excuses. We just played poorly and lost. And he has put a lot of players into what are, bigger schools, and just kept going. And he's done it through high school recruiting and really high-level evaluation. That he is getting guys to go to Belmont who are not getting power-level scholarship offers, who are not getting, American scholarship offers. They're going to the Valley. And yet they're performing at an extremely high level where power programs want those players. And he continues to develop those guys. So it's that eye for talent that, for example, Bill Snyder had it when he came. He could find a guy that everyone else missed. And I don't care what your profession is. If you can see something others are missing, you're going to be ahead of the game. And to be able to evaluate talent and project where they'll be in 2-3 years with coaching is a gift. It's not easy. And the previous staff was entirely void of any talent in that area. And they just wanted to be a transfer portal program, which was proven not to work. And I think this guy is going to stock a locker room with guys that want to be at Kansas State and form a team that the fans will know from year to year and be proud of the effort they put on the floor.
Let's talk about what the roster is going to look like, starting with the Belmont roster, which, again, they won the regular season championship in the Missouri Valley Conference. They have 5 players who either had senior or graduate student eligibility this last year. One of them has an extra year. That's guard Tyler Lundblade, who averaged 15 points a game this last season and notably hit the portal today, anticipates having an extra year of eligibility. How much of next year's roster do you think is going to be populated by current Belmont Bruins? Do you foresee Alexander bringing a lot of his players in, or do you think it might just be 2, 3, 4 guys from that program come to K-State?
That's a great question. I was thinking 3 guys, but there might be younger players that he knows are going to be really good, and he brings them along to continue their development here. The guy you just mentioned is getting power school interest. I talked to, in the whole process of covering this, I talked to a coach who said, I almost hate to see him move to Kansas State because he might keep those players. We're really trying to get one of his guys. And so, if you're good at developing and recognizing talent, you're going to have a commodity that people want. And so, yeah, he's still going to be under the pressure of not be able to save the, players from the portal at times, but it's much bigger advantage at this level.
I noticed that in a media scrum that was not part of the press conference, he mentioned, Alexander did, talking about the roster. I believe the wording was, we're at 0 of 15 right now regarding roster spots. Is that effectively confirmation that they do not expect anybody from this current Kansas State roster to return next year?
No. He pointed out also that he wants to meet with any players that have interest in staying to see if they fit. And I think a few players will. I know Taj Manning would like to stay. He's done it the old-fashioned way and fell in love with the school that he wants to go to school at and then play basketball also. And, that's kind of what his goal is. Taj is exactly the kind of guy that you want in your locker room, but he can't be alone either. So, no, I think he'll have some players hold over. I think you'll find some players that actually fit his system really well. And the choice then will be if the player wants to stay first. And number 2, does he want, too many players from a previous failed system hanging around? I don't know. I don't know what the answer is there, but they're going to get busy. I think we'll see a mashup of Belmont and K-State players be the core of this program, at least starting off, and then they got to go fill out a roster.
You mentioned Manning as a cultural fit because he has fallen in love with Kansas State. From a basketball perspective, are there guys on the current roster that you feel like, yeah, maybe the coach who's piloted a team that is always one of the best three-point shooting teams in the country might maybe have some use for moving forward?
Yeah, Abdi Bashir's that guy. He can really stroke it. He hasn't had other parts of his game developed properly through poor coaching.
And if he feels like he can get Abdi to understand defensive principles better, passing and doing all the other things that go with basketball beyond, shooting it from 22 feet and beyond. If he feels like he can get that, I can see Abdi staying. Now, I don't know what his NIL was, and we know this, that the previous staff was overpaying guys, and just kind of throwing money around to throw it around. They had it to spend, so they spent it, and it doesn't mean he's worth that to other programs. And I think he'll probably go through the process of trying to find out what his actual market worth would be. But I would say he and David Castillo, along with Taj, would be ideal ones to stay. There's some other guys too, but they might have other entanglements like possible foreign going back home to play professional ball or that type of thing.
Tim Fitzgerald of GoPowerCat.com is our guest. Couple more questions for Fitz here on this Monday edition of the Wildcat Wrap-Up on the day Casey Alexander was introduced as a Kansas State men's basketball coach. What composition do you expect Alexander's coaching staff to take? Do you think it will be, again, predominantly some holdovers from his Belmont staff? Do you think there might be some pieces with Kansas State ties who are either maybe not holdovers, but guys maybe from the program previously who are brought back? What do you expect that to look like?
Well, I know he's going to bring in a couple guys from Belmont. I wouldn't be surprised if one of them becomes the Belmont head coach. I don't know where they're at with that. I noticed they canceled their NIT invitation, or they declined it because they need to find a coach and move on. I don't know if there'll be a K-Stater on it. I know a lot of K-Staters would prefer that. We had a long discussion about this on our Monday show, The Insiders, K-State Insiders, that we did a little bit earlier today to talk about these things. And I can see a K-Stater finding his way onto the staff. Who that is, I'm not sure. But I think the most important thing is not to put any limitations on him. You go hire the guys you want at your side to get this job accomplished. And if you feel like a K-Stater is going to help some, great. But I don't think K-Staters won't support you because of that. I think they're hungry and ready to support whoever can win at K-State.
Do you sense that the donor commitment, the NIL commitment that this basketball program has received the last couple of years will remain, if not the same, at least not damaged by the hire of Alexander? Is this a hire, in other words, that the folks who are supplying some of those NIL dollars can get excited about and continue to have that NIL support for the program rather than having donors maybe withdraw some of the support they've given in the last couple of years?
It's going to be a mixed bag. I know one of the big donors has withdrawn, and he probably should have done that a year ago. He had faith in Jerome Tang. He and Jerome Tang became close, and he believed in Jerome and honestly got burned to the tune of millions upon millions of dollars. And I think he'll get a little more tentative about that. Also, Dan, there's something going on that we're not talking about a lot. The clearinghouse, the new clearinghouse, is not clearing a vast majority of deals because they're deeming them to be not true NIL because they're coming from people with connections to the program. It's not like Wendy's saying, "Hey, redheaded guy, we want you to advertise our stuff." It's the guy at the dealership, that's an alum, that's saying, "Hey, I want you to help me sell cars." And this new clearinghouse is deeming that to be not a real deal. And that's where most deals are from. And I get that they want to make it actual NIL, that you are lending your name, image, and likeness. But if they're doing that, what's it matter if they're an alum or not? This is something that is going to wreak havoc and probably collapse the entire approach that they've taken with validating NIL deals. If they're just going to say, "Oh, you're a donor," you can't do it, because that's asinine.
Yep, that'll be another aspect of this to watch over the course of the coming days and weeks and months leading into the start of the next revenue sports season, which, of course, is football in the fall. Tim Fitzgerald, GoPowerCat.com. He and the staff doing an outstanding job covering the hire of Casey Alexander as the next men's basketball coach at Kansas State. Fitz, gracious enough to join us on this Monday to talk all about it. Appreciate you, Fitz. We'll do it again soon.
Thank you, my friend.
That is Tim Fitzgerald. We'll take a break, come back, and put a wrap on this 4 o'clock hour. 580 Sports Talk next. Got to run through our countdown to Royals opening day today. We're down to 11 days until the Royals open the 2026 Major League Baseball season in Atlanta against the Braves. The Royals at war number 11 first. Ellie Rodriguez, catcher on the inaugural 69 team, and a great trivia answer. Who was the Royals' first All-Star position player? Ellie Rodriguez, 1969. Who wore it best? Hal McRae, every single one of his seasons in Royal Blue, all 15 of them with that number 11 on his back. Who wears it now? Of course, it's Michael Garcia. Hit a big home run for Venezuela in the World Baseball Classic the other day in their quarterfinal win over Japan. We'll talk a little World Baseball Classic and everything else going on in the world of sports. Coming up in headlines, we're going to talk NCAA Tournament. We'll get back to the Chiefs news of the day, their acquisition of Justin Fields. All that coming up on the final hour, 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Third and final hour of 580 Sports Talk on this Monday afternoon. Thanks so much for being with us on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. My name is Dan Lucero. I'm solo with you for this final hour of the program today. So grateful that you're hanging out with me on this Monday, that you didn't forget about us. Well, we were off the air there for state tournament basketball Tuesday through Friday. I guess most of Tuesday through Friday. Brendan Wrzinski hosted a 35-minute episode of the show on Wednesday while we were waiting to bring you some state basketball. But other than that, we were off and basketball was on. And I hope you enjoyed the hoops, because we sure enjoyed bringing it to you. Year number 59 of state tournament coverage on 580 WIBW. That's it's a big responsibility. It's a big tradition that we want to uphold, and we want to try and bring the state's best coverage, the best play-by-play, the best score updates, the best moments, the best games. And it simultaneously gets easier and less easy to do that all at once. Just, based upon, just how different things are in radio, how different things are in technology, that there are challenges, but there are also things that make it easier. But at the end of the day, it's about the games, it's about the stories, it's about the moments of triumph and the moments of heartbreak too. But it is always such a joy to be Mike's side for that. And I did a little bit of motoring for you guys over the course of Thursday through Saturday. Multiple games in different state sites on the same day. That was a first for me. I had never done that before, but I did it on Thursday. Had the Hayden girls in Hutchinson in the 2:00 window, then sped down to which I didn't speed. I want to be clear about that. I did not actually speed. I drove a little bit over the speed limit, but not enough that I was going to get pulled over. I made it responsibly and safely from Hutchinson Sports Arena to Charles Koch Arena for that night's 5A boys semifinals. And that was a disappointing day for the city, with both Seaman and Topeka West falling to defeat. But that was a new one for me. 3 games, 2 sites, 1 day for state tournament. And it also occurred to me while I was at Koch Arena that I had not been back there for the state tournament in 6 years. It had been 6 years to the day, in fact, since I'd last been at Charles Koch Arena for the state tournament. And you might be able to do the math in your head and remember what year 6 years ago was, and maybe what happened on March 12th of 2020, like in the world, what was going on. And what happened that day at Koch Arena was they played first-round games, and then they did not play the next day and did not play anything else for a long time. So not great memories, if we're being honest. It did not bring back the best memories ever to remember the last time I was at the Roundhouse on Hillside out there in the Air Capital. But we had a great weekend of coverage. I was privileged to be Mike's side, and it was, the timing of it worked out such that we were able to cover effectively 8 state championship games on Saturday between myself and Hutchinson, Trenton Craxner, and Emporia. And we were able to get the finish for all 8 games on the air. And so that's 8 teams that had their state championship moment captured here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, including 2 teams from Northeast Kansas, from Shawnee County, from our backyard, the Silver Lake girls and the Hayden girls. And that was very, very cool. So we were very happy to have been able to broadcast the state tournament again. And I'm already looking forward to year 60 next year. We should do something special for year 60. I think because my first year was the 50th. My first year doing it was year 50, 2017. And we should do something special for year 60. If anybody's got any ideas, hit me up. And we'll see. I'll call Mitch Holt to see if he wants to come do a game for us for the 60th anniversary. Mitch might say yes, honestly. But much as he loves high school sports in the state of Kansas. But no, in all seriousness, it's a wonderful honor to get to do that. and to bring those championship moments to you here on the Sports Voice of Kansas. But now we're back to somewhat normal. We're back to regular service on 580 Sports Talk. We got one more hour of the program today. We got our 580 Sports Talk headlines to get to, including lots of local sports, obviously, with state tournament, Washburn basketball. We've got some KU and K-State headlines to get to, basketball and baseball from the weekend. We're going to talk World Baseball Classic. I have some thoughts on Team USA. And I also have some thoughts on that called strike 3 to end the game against the Dominican Republic last night. I've got some thoughts on that, too. And I've got some thoughts on tonight. It's the Royal Bowl, if you will. I don't know that Royals fans have ever been more conflicted about a baseball game. You get Vinny and Jack on one side for Team Italy. You get Salvi and Michael on the other side for Team Venezuela. Luinder Avila, too. Can't forget him. Who you root for? That's my question of the hour. Royals fans, who are you rooting for tonight? I saw some dialogue about this in the YouTube chat, too. So I'm putting it out to the text line as well. 785-272-9429. If you're a Royals fan, who are you rooting for tonight? Venezuela or Italy? You rooting for Salvi and Michael and Lewinder? Or are you rooting for Vinny and Jack? Who are you pulling for? 785-272-9429. I've also got some thoughts on the NCAA tournament bracket and some thoughts I didn't get to in the opening hour. The move, I think, has been the best one that the Chiefs have made this offseason so far, outside of the Kenneth Walker move, which is the obvious answer. But the second best move, I guess, that I think the Chiefs have made this offseason so far. Again, the text line is open, 785-272-9429. You can also interact in the live chat on our YouTube channel. 580 Sports Talk is the name of the channel, 580 Sports Talk. Subscribe. Like us on Facebook, WIBW News. We appreciate you checking out the show in video form as well. Let's get to our headlines. Let's start with the local hoops. Let's start with the state champions. We're going to run them through one more time in case you missed them all over the weekend. 14 state basketball champions crowned on Saturday in 1A Division II. It was a pair of all Twin Valley League championship games. Lynn girls winning their first title ever, beating Hanover, snapping their 3-year streak of championships. But Hanover did not go home empty-handed because the Hanover boys knocked off Axtell in the 1A2 boys championship game. Great call of that one by our Trenton Craxner down there in Emporia here on 580 WIBW. Great day of basketball for that part of our state, and the Twin Valley League continuing to just set the standard for small school leagues in the state of Kansas. 1A Division I champions, Little River, back to championship form for the first time in 28 years as they defeated Wabaunsee in the 1A girls championship game in Dodge City. Beloit St. John's Tipton, champions on the boys' side, rallying late to defeat South Central for the boys' crown. In Class 2A, the Sterling boys, unbeaten. They complete the double, football championship in the fall and basketball championship in the winter. They were the only repeat champion in Kansas high school basketball this year. The only one, which is remarkable. Usually we're good for like 4 or 5 of those a year because usually, it's Aquinas girls and Miege girls and McPherson boys usually run off a few in a row. There's always a dynasty, right? Blue Valley Northwest. Feels like there's always an ongoing dynasty somewhere, right? Hanover girls. But not this year. Only one repeat champion and only one undefeated team, and it was the Sterling Black Bears. So congratulations to them as they defeated Berean Academy in the 2A boys championship game. 2A girls title went to Salina Sacred Heart, their first championship ever. They defeated Ellenwood in the 2A girls final in Emporia. Class 3A girls champs for the second time in 3 years, 8th time all-time, Silver Lake. That's what they hang banners for at Silver Lake. Mitch Holtis will tell you. They don't hang banners when you win the league. They don't hang banners for making state. They hang banners for winning state championships. And those girls get to hang another banner. Second in 3 years. They beat Osage City in an exciting championship game. Congratulations, Osage City. First ever girls state championship game appearance. Terrific season for them. Silver Lake, just too good, just too mature, just too poised. Never let Osage make a run in the second half of that game. Silver Lake girls are champs. Wichita Collegiate boys are champions. New era for collegiate basketball. Their longtime head coach, Mitch Feigl, retired after last year. Nate Schmidt, first-year head coach. They win a title in year one. They beat Burlington in the 3A final. 4A girls champs, the Hayden Wildcats, first time in 22 years, they bring home a girls basketball state championship. All they had to do to get it was beat the defending champs Wellington in the semis and then go through Bishop Miege, who's always in the championship game, in the final. Do you realize Bishop Miege now has not won 4A in back-to-back years in girls for the first time in over a decade? They're always there at the end. And Hayden had not played in a championship game in a decade, but Hayden was tremendous. They were so good all week, and all 9 of their players in Carvel Reynolds' rotation contributed something to that championship. Boy, they were fun to watch. And Haley Schmidtline, the sophomore star, incredible in the championship game with 24 points as Hayden defeated Bishop Miege for their 5th ever girls state title. 4A boys, Baldwin, first-time champions. And how about Baldwin? The only team all year to beat Bonner Springs, about whom more in a second. The first team to beat Atchison, who was undefeated before Baldwin beat him in the semifinals. And then the only team to beat Rock Creek all year. Rock Creek was 27-0 going into the title game. Baldwin rallies from down 9 going into the fourth quarter. They dominate the final 8 minutes to win that game. Baldwin a lot better than their record. Let's just put it that way. 22-6. They were even better than that. And now they're state champs for the first time ever in boys basketball. 5A girls, St. James Academy, their first ever championship. They knocked off Hayes in the title game. 5A boys, Bonner Springs denying Capon a 3rd straight championship. What a story that is. First title at Bonner Springs since 1984. And on the 6A side of things, Shawnee Mission South girls, 2nd time in 3 years. They hoist the championship gold. And on the boys' side, it was Olathe North, the champions of 6A boys, first boys basketball championship in school history for Olathe North. Remember the name. Teek Dang, 6'11 junior, dominated the state tournament. He doesn't have any impressive offer sheet that I'm aware of. That's about to change. That young man can play, and you can't coach 6'11". So file that name away. He'll be the next big thing maybe in Kansas in his senior year. Teek Dang, the big fella for Olathe North. So those are your state champions, and a big congratulations to them. And it was a terrific, terrific weekend of basketball. It was a disappointing, to say the least, weekend for Washburn basketball. The Washburn women falling to Central Missouri in first-round action at the Central Region in Mankato, Minnesota on Friday night to end their season. Their first trip to the NCAA Tournament in 13 years ended with a first-round loss. Then the Washburn men, number 1 seed in the Central Region, stunned by Minnesota Duluth, the number 8 seed in the Central Region in a 64-62 loss on Saturday, ending the Ichabod's quest for a return to the Final Four. They finish up with a 31-2 record. They obviously sorely missed their star sophomore post, Dylan Clausen, who was injured, did not play the final 2 games of the MIAA tournament, and did not play on Saturday. It helps to have a big man who can score it, right? Especially if you're not making your threes. And Washburn was not. They were just 3 of 18 from behind the arc on Saturday, but just didn't have that easy button they could push on offense that they had all year long. Shots aren't falling. We'll throw it into Dylan. He'll get us a hoop. They didn't have that option on Saturday, and they really missed it. And down the stretch, there were some missed free throws, really uncharacteristic mistakes for Washburn. A bad day to have a bad day. And don't get it confused. This was not like a 16 beating a 1 in the NCAA tournament. Duluth is really good. They are not the 64th or 63rd best team in the tournament. They're the 8th best maybe in the Central Region. That maybe makes them a top 25, top 30 team in the tournament. Washburn will still regret not having won it. They had a team good enough to win a national championship, and Clausen's injury will be a what-if for the rest of the history of the athletic department. But long haul, they had a wonderful year. Regular season tournament champions of the MIAA. Washburn women also won the MIAA tournament, of course. It was a great year of basketball at Lee Arena and for the Ichabods, and just a shame that it has come to an end. Moving to Big 12 athletics, The KU and the K-State women aren't done playing basketball this year, even though they did not make the 68-team NCAA tournament field. They are both in the WBIT, the Women's Basketball Invitational Tournament. Both will play home games on Thursday at 6:30. The KU women will play Troy. The K-State women will play Georgia Tech. You'll hear that game right here on 580 WIBW. Pregame coverage at 6 o'clock and the tip-off at 6:30. Meanwhile, on the Diamond over the weekend, Kansas State was 6 outs away from a sweep of Houston. They had thrashed the Cougars on Friday 20-8 and on Saturday 16-1. And they were up by a run in the 8th inning on Sunday looking for the sweep. And they didn't even get to play a 9th inning because they gave up 11 runs and they lost by 10, 16-6. They got mercy ruled. That's the way baseball go. Sometimes you run out of pitching on a Sunday, and that's unfortunately what happened to Kansas State. Still a good series win to start Big 12 play. KU dropped their first 2 games of their opening Big 12 series at Texas Tech, but then they mercy ruled the Red Raiders on Sunday with an 18-6 win. Brady Ballinger, first 2 home runs of the season. Jayhawks really need him to get his bat going. That's the news from the College Diamond. Continuing our headlines from the World Baseball Classic. Last night, great game between the United States and the Dominican Republic in Miami. A pair of home runs by Gunnar Henderson and Roman Anthony. The difference is Team USA knocks off the Dominican to advance to the WBC championship game for the 3rd straight World Baseball Classic. They lost in the final in 2023. Won the championship, their only WBC championship, in 2017. They will play the winner between Venezuela and Italy tonight. Mason Miller struck out Gerardo Perdomo of the Dominican Republic to end the game on a pitch that was like 6 inches too low. Just a horrid call to end a game on. Just so bad it almost defies belief. And the kind of call that hopefully having the automated ball strike system set up this year is going to prevent, because nobody is satisfied when a game ends like that. Nobody. Even if you're rooting for Team USA, even if you're happy Team USA won, you're not satisfied seeing a game end on such an egregious bad call as that. It was not even close. Like, it's one thing, that pitch was off by an inch. That's a tough break for that hitter. The pitch was at his shins, man. It's not even close. That game was the best possible advertisement that Major League Baseball could have had for its new automated ball strike system. Because as long as teams are wise with their challenges, games are going to end on nonsense like that. A word, if I can, on Team USA. So we joked around on this program a little bit. Like back in the 2024 Olympics, when Team USA basketball was playing Serbia, I said, look, man, I got some rules in my life. Nikola Jokic is on one team, and a bunch of guys I don't really like and don't really root for are on the other team, like Joel Embiid and Anthony Edwards and Devin Booker, guys I don't really like. I kind of want my favorite NBA player to win. I know I'm pulling against my country here, but I'd be happier for Jokic if he won than I would be happier for the USA guys if they won. So we had our fun with that. And then Olympic hockey, with hockey especially, because hockey's the kind of sport where it's so physical that, there's hits you don't like, and there's plays you don't like, and there's players you don't like. And really with hockey, you get really territorial. Like if you're a fan of a hockey team, you like your guys and you don't like anybody else's guys. And so there's a lot of guys on Team USA hockey that don't play for the Colorado Avalanche, my favorite team, who I don't particularly like. With the Kachucks, that goes back to their dad. I didn't like their dad when he played for the Blues back in the 90s. So we had our fun with that. And there were guys on Team Canada I didn't like. Jordan Bennington, I'm not a fan of. I don't like their coach. So yeah, it was cool. Team USA won, and then they skated around with Johnny Gaudreau's jersey, and they honored Johnny Gaudreau's kids because he should have been out there with that team. His tragic death 2 years ago won me over. I was like, all right, yeah, all right, yeah, I'm with it. I'm with Team USA. This year's Team USA has not maybe been the most likable in World Baseball Classic history. Not a big Aaron Judge fan. I think they're let me phrase it like this. If you've watched the World Baseball Classic and you watch like Venezuela play and you watch the Dominican Republic play, you watch Puerto Rico play, you know how much fun they're having? Even Italy, which is just a bunch of American guys like embracing their Italian heritage, which for them is like drinking coffee and drinking wine. Apparently, they got the espresso machine and everything. But like, have you noticed how much fun they all appear to be having and how not fun Team USA appears to be having? How little fun they appear to be having? How serious everything is for Team USA? The war metaphors that Team USA continues to lean in on, all the way to inviting the SEAL Team 6 guy into the locker room. Like, look, whatever floats your boat, whatever gets you motivated. But, baseball's supposed to be fun, man. And we're the only country out here not having this fun with baseball. We're the only country that's like, actually, bat flips are bad. You should not celebrate when you win or when you hit a home run or when you strike somebody out. You should be stern and stoic and straight-faced because we're the troops, but for baseball. Like, that rubs me the wrong way. I think baseball ought to be fun. I like watching the teams who are having fun. I enjoyed watching the Dominican and Puerto Rico, and I'm going to enjoy watching Venezuela tonight. It just doesn't feel like our guys are having fun. That bothers me because I know for a fact that some of those guys are fun ball players. I get to watch Bobby Witt Jr. all summer. He's as fun as it gets, and he's having a great tournament, defensively especially. Pete Crow Armstrong is a ray of sunshine. Bryce Harper used to wear hats that said, make baseball fun again. I know he knows how to have a good time. But all these dudes are just so stiff upper lip, treating it like it's war, treating it like everything they do is for the troops, which, look, I'm not against honoring our servicemen and women. Of course, I'm not against that. But you can also have fun. And I wish our guys had a little more fun. I know there have been World Baseball Classic teams for Team USA who have had fun. The 2017 team that won it all, they had fun. Eric Hosmer was on that team. Andrew McCutcheon, Adam Jones, Marcus Stroman, Nolan Arenado. Like that team was full of guys who, they were serious competitors, but they knew how to like have a good time. They weren't just a bunch of, forgive the phrase, weren't just a bunch of tight asses out there pretending baseball is equivalent to war. Talking about you're sacrificing for your brothers in the trenches. Brother, you are playing a baseball game. Have some fun. Smile. It doesn't have to be, not every sports thing we do has to be considered the equivalent of war. And I know, like, it's a little different for Paul Skeens, right? Because he was going to be a troop. He was in the Air Force until he figured out, wait a second, I throw this baseball 100 miles an hour, and I should go get paid to do that and not worry about the Air Force deciding that I need to go fly some planes instead of throwing this baseball 100 miles an hour and making millions of dollars and having a famous and hot girlfriend. Like, I don't blame Paul Skeens for going to LSU and deciding, you know what, maybe this Air Force thing isn't really for me. I don't blame him. But obviously, his feelings about servicemen and women, and what USA across his chest means to him are going to be a little different. I understand that. Griffin Jacks finished his college career at Air Force, and he's on that team too. So I understand that there is that element of it, but at the same time, and I feel like it's a uniquely American thing because I don't think this is a consideration for the other players in the other countries out there. We don't have to treat sports like war. Sports are not war. They are fun. They are games. They are play. And I just wish the United States team would have a little more fun. They don't look like they're having fun. And that's why they barely beat Canada and barely beat the Dominican Republic and didn't beat Italy, who's having all the fun. Even though that's a bunch of American guys too. I don't know. Maybe I'm misguided. Maybe you disagree with me. That's my soapbox moment for the day. I just wish Team USA baseball would be less about the grind and baseball as war and sacrifice and more about, this is a fun game. We get to play with our buddies and represent our country and have fun doing it. Maybe you feel differently, but I can't shake that feeling watching this team. Like Cal Raleigh's refusing to shake his own teammates' hands behind the plate. No, that's not what we're going to do. We're Team USA. We don't acknowledge the enemy. What? Cal Raleigh's a good dude. I don't understand it. I don't understand why we got to treat sports like war. I think it's something we too often default to, and we shouldn't. They're games, man. Have fun. Venezuela, Italy tonight. That's going to be fun. I think Venezuela probably wins. Because the United States versus Venezuela, well, if you've been, following the news, that's a little on the nose for the script writers out there. Last thing before we wrap up, got to hit the winner's circle. Denny Hamlin, the winner in Vegas on the NASCAR Cup Series. Cam Young wins the Players' Championship at TPC Sawgrass, biggest win of his PGA Tour career. Will I, America's leading Masters tout? I've picked the last 3 Masters champions accurately. I've made you money if you've listened to me. And does that mean I'm leaning Cam Young to maybe go win the Masters, his first major? Well, you'll have to find out in a couple of weeks, won't you? We'll take a timeout. When we come back, the bracket's out. KU's got a rough road. We'll talk about it next on 580 Sports Talk. 536 on 580 Sports Talk. Love that return bed. You have to let the horn stabs really hit there. You can't really talk over those. They're too good. It's 537 now on the program. Some thoughts on the World Baseball Classic. I laid out my thoughts, kind of my soapbox moment of the day. And I did ask the listeners, who are you rooting for tonight? If you're a Royals fan, you got some big deal Royals on both ends of tonight's Venezuela versus Italy semifinal. You have Vinny and Cags on Team Italy. You have Salvi and Michael and Luinder Avila on Team Venezuela. So who are you rooting for? And that was my question. And Vance says, I'm not rooting for anybody. I'm going to sit back, enjoy the game, and root for both sides. That might be the way to go about it, Vance. I respect that. From the text line, we have one text from the 785 said, I'm rooting for Venezuela, their baseball program. We have one text from 785 said, I was in Houston this weekend, went to the Italy-Puerto Rico game. It was a great game. I'm pulling for Italy to win. They're a great team. Italy's been a fun story. And just, again, it goes to show you, like, Italy probably didn't come into this tournament expecting to win. And let's be very clear. None of those dudes are from Italy. Like, one of them maybe, I think, is actually born in Italy. All of these dudes are, Italian surnames. And that's kind of the way World Baseball Classic works, right? A lot of these teams are in the field just to kind of fill out the field, right? Like, Great Britain is just a bunch of guys from the Bahamas, right? Or guys whose, like, grandmas are English. Team Israel is just players with Jewish heritage. None of those players are from Israel. And Team Italy, none of these guys are from Italy. Vinny Pasquantino was not born in Sicily, right? So Italy probably doesn't come into this tournament thinking they're going to win. Certainly not thinking they're going to advance further than Japan or Korea or any of those serious baseball playing nations. So they're just having as much fun with it as they can. And look at where they got them. They're in the semifinals. And that was my point. Like, my thing was not to say that it isn't okay for players to be serious. Like, every player had a different personality. And American baseball culture at large is different than Latin American baseball culture, Caribbean baseball culture, Japanese baseball culture. It's different. Our countries are different. Our games, the way we approach them, are different. I understand that. I'm not saying that we need to copy Venezuela or the Dominican Republic or Japan or even copy Italy. Although it would be very funny if Italy's got an espresso machine in the dugout. Why doesn't Team USA have like a 30 rack of Busch Light? Rip one of those after you hit a dinger, right? Same thing, right? But my thought is, like, you can be serious about winning. You can have the desire to win, but you can also have a little fun doing it. Like I know that there are guys whose personalities on Team USA are conducive to having a little fun while you're playing great baseball. Because again, I watch Bobby Witt Jr. every day. But that's just not the personality of this Team USA team. And that's okay. Like, it doesn't have to be like what I want it to be every time. I'm just saying I wish it was. I wish it was. Like, I have no problem. The idea, Texter says, maybe our guys just take it seriously or on a mission. I don't think the other countries aren't taking it seriously. I think the Dominican Republic is taking it very seriously. I think Venezuela is taking it very seriously. I even think Italy's taking it pretty seriously now that they've gotten as far as they've gotten. So I don't think it's about not taking it seriously necessarily. I think it's about just, it's okay to be joyful in the act of playing a game. That even though you are a millionaire hundreds of times over, like Bryce Harper or Kyle Schwarber, or going to be a millionaire 100 times over, like Gunnar Henderson when he hits free agency, or Roman Anthony the first time he hits free agency, Paul Skeens the first time he hits free agency. It's okay to enjoy yourself. Like, I just wish we had a few more guys who got to show that side of their personality. And it really feels like the guys who do have that kind of personality on Team USA have had it really kind of tamped down. Mark H., I think, landed on it in the YouTube comments that the manager, DeRosa, has Mark DeRosa's kind of made his imprint on the team in that way. That's Teams take on the personalities of their leaders, and the leaders of this team are obviously Mark DeRosa and Aaron Judge as the captain, and those aren't exactly guys who look like they're having a lot of fun. Maybe if Aaron Judge enjoyed baseball, had a little bit more fun, maybe he'd get a big hit in an important game that mattered one time in his life. I don't know. Maybe he should try it. Maybe he should try having more fun. Mark B asks, would Joe DiMaggio or Yogi Berra have played for Team Italy? Hell yeah, they would have. Oh, man. I think they both also served our country, so maybe not. But like the modern version of Joe DiMaggio or Yogi Berra, like if they were born, they'd been born in like the 70s or the 80s. Yeah, I think they would have suited up for Team Italy. They might have enjoyed that opportunity to represent their family's heritage. So maybe I'm a little overeager. Maybe the hell yeah was premature because, Joe DiMaggio served World War II. I believe Yogi Berra also served. So obviously pride in the country of their birth. I believe they were both born in the United States. I believe that's correct. I think their parents were immigrants, but maybe they would have suited up for Italy. Had to have been something. You know, throwback World Baseball Classic. Get a lot of Italians. You get all the DiMaggio brothers on Team Italy. That would have been a fearsome outfield in the 1940s version of the World Baseball Classic. All right, let's get into the tournament. Let's talk some March Madness. We got some people asking. Want to get into the tournament. The bracket is out. Duke, Arizona, Michigan, Florida, your number one seeds. I have said before, and I still believe this, even though Duke is banged up, even though Michigan lost to Purdue yesterday in the Big Ten tournament championship game, I think Duke, Arizona, and Michigan are a cut above everybody else. I think if you pick anybody else to win this tournament, you're wrong. I think if you have those teams out in the first weekend, you're wrong. I think that if you have those teams out probably before the Elite Eight, I don't see it. I definitely don't see it for Arizona. I think they got the best draw of any of the number one seeds. And I feel the best about them going to the Final Four of those three teams. But Michigan's not far behind. I think they're going to be just fine. And I think Duke will find a way. Duke's had some significant injury losses. And if Patrick Ngongba can't go in the tournament, that maybe does make them vulnerable to like a St. John's in the Sweet 16 if that ends up being the matchup. Because St. John's is really big and Duke would be without their starting center. But I think those three teams are just, their best is so much better, I think, than anybody else's. That's no disrespect to Florida, who's gotten hot here late. They're obviously the defending champs. They're the other one seed. But I think Duke, Arizona, Michigan are the cream of the crop. I've been burned by Arizona before. It's very funny. I can go back sometimes and look at, this is how I predicted the bracket will go down. So many years I've had Arizona in a Final Four or in a championship game, and I've watched those jokers lose in the first weekend. What year was it they lost? Oh, my God. Was it 23? I think it was 23. They lost to not Providence, Princeton. Was that the year they lost to freaking Princeton in the first round? And I think I had them winning the whole thing that year. I'm trying to remember. Maybe that was 24. No, 24, they at least made the Sweet 16 before they lost to an inferior team. 23, Arizona. Yeah, that was the year they lost to Princeton. I picked them to win the whole thing that year. I had them beating Kansas in the championship game, and of course, that was the year Bill Self didn't travel to Des Moines, and KU lost to Arkansas in the round of 32. So, as you can see, I'm no expert, but I like Arizona, and I like Michigan, and I like Duke, and I think one of those three teams is going to win the national championship. And if I had to predict it right now based on the draw, I got to dig into it a little bit more. But right now, based on the draw, I think I like Arizona's draw best. So I'll put the marker down right now. I think Arizona's going to win the national championship. What I really like about them, they're big, they're physical, they defend, they've got multiple guys who can take over a game offensively, and they're not overly reliant on the three, which, of course, then leaves them susceptible to being threed to death by somebody like Wisconsin maybe in the Sweet 16, but I don't see it. I think Arizona's too good. I think Arizona's going to win the whole thing. As for Kansas, I don't love their draw. St. John's, again, really big And I think big teams give Kansas trouble. But also, is St. John's even good? They won the Big East and they're a 5 seed. Let's be honest about what the Big East was this year. Big does not necessarily mean better. I think they create a matchup problem for Kansas because they're going to be, I think Kansas will beat Cal Baptist. I think they'll handle them no problem. But I just don't think St. John's all that good. I think Kansas can beat them. I don't think there's any chance Kansas beats Duke. I think the ceiling for Kansas is a Sweet 16 appearance because I just think, and presuming maybe if Gangba doesn't play, again, maybe changes the equation. But if Ganga's back by the Sweet 16, Gangba for Duke, I just think that's a matchup that Kansas has too much trouble with. I think their ceiling is a Sweet 16, which they haven't been to a Sweet 16 in 3 years. Sweet 16 would be a step in the right direction. It would still feel like a disappointment if that's all they get, but it'd be a step in the right direction. Take a timeout. We'll come back. Some of your reaction to the bracket here on 580 Sports Talk. It's going to be a very short segment here as we wind things down here on 580 Sports Talk. Question from Vance in the YouTube chat. Who's my 5-12 upset? I don't know that there are going to be a lot of upsets in the NCAA tournament. I think that the power conference teams take all the talent from the mid-majors anymore, and there's just so much of a difference, a talent difference between the power conference teams now and then your mid-majors, that I think you're going to start to see upsets just kind of become fewer and further between, which is too bad. I hope I'm wrong, but that was kind of the case last year. This year, I think every 5 seed is at least an 8-point favorite over the 12 seed. So the smart money says no 5-12 upset this year. But the one to keep an eye on is probably Akron against Texas Tech. Tech without JT Toppin. Christian Anderson tweaked his groin on that stupid court. I can't believe we didn't get to the court. That was the one thing I wanted to talk about all last week. We didn't have the show for it. We didn't get to talk about Brett Yormark's dumbass idea to have that LED court backfiring on him so bad that he had to change it before the tournament semifinals. That's going to be my final word. Teaser alert. I'm going to have my thoughts on that. Anyway, Christian Anderson hurt. No JT Toppin. Texas Tech is the most vulnerable 5. And watch out for that little part of the Midwest. That's where things could get hinky. Alabama's second leading scorer got a felony marijuana charge today. Don't think he's going to be on the floor when they play Hofstra. Just, look out for that. Look out for some weirdness in that pod in the Midwest, is what I would say. 785 texter agrees with me, says Texas Tech without Toppin is going to get upset. They pulled off a couple of big wins without Toppin, but Akron's good. Akron's a solid team. And they got a chance to pull the upset. I'm worried about Anderson's health if he's not 100%. Another texter said was really impressed with Arkansas. From the 785. Arkansas looked really good against Vanderbilt. Arkansas's 4 seed in that West bracket. Wisconsin's a really tough second-round matchup. I don't think either of those teams beating Arizona. Arizona's my pick to win it all. I'll figure out the rest later. We'll have more time to talk about the bracket here in the next couple of days, including we'll do a contest with y'all. We'll do a little 580 Sports Talk and Friends contest. What that's going to look like, we'll tell you about that tomorrow. Final word next to 580 Sports Talk. All right, I've only got less than a minute for my final word, so I'll make it quick. I like a lot of what Brett Yormark has done as the commissioner of the Big 12 Conference. I think he's been a net positive for the conference. The LED glass floor is Brett Yormark's Fire Fest. His worst idea. It never should have come to fruition. And the fact that he was willing to bail on it shows growth and maturity, and I respect him for that. But what a dumb idea that was. And we're never going to see that again. Ever, ever, ever. Nobody's ever going to do that nonsense again. Brett Yormark's Fire Fest, the LED court. R.I.P. in peace. We got a show tomorrow from 3 till 5:30 when we'll break for NCAA tournament coverage. Michael Swain will join us, and a lot more NCAA tournament talk on tomorrow's show. For Spencer Dupuis, I'm Dan Lucero, and this is 580 Sports Talk. Thanks for coming back with us. Good night.